the Summer Cup group stages. Moving over to Group D, we've got a pretty exciting matchup. It's going to be Motionblur versus JY here. JY competing in Bronze skill division over on SEL. Motionblur, one of the newer competitors to SpyParty, competing in the Challenger division. And this is a really, really interesting one because a lot of people don't really know what kind of skill level the newcomers to SpyParty are playing at. Motionblur did relatively well, I believe, in SEL. I would have to pull up my standing sheets to know 100% how they ranked in the Challenger 10-week Swiss division. But my memory serves me well. It wasn't a too bad of a performance. No, it wasn't at all. They placed in the top half of the pack. 24th, I believe, was their final ranking after 10 weeks of SEL. And Challenger had like 80, I want to say 80 competitors in it. So it's definitely no small feat. And so, yeah, finishing 26 out of 86, or however many it was, is really impressive stuff. But JY, he's been playing SpyParty for a long time. Representing Southeast Asia, one of the few to be competing from that region. We'll have to see what the kind of difference is between these two competitors.
Oh yeah, from personal experience, JY has a very distinctive style. He plays pretty aggressive and will exploit your sniper game as Spy if if you aren't ready for it. I expect that JY will exploit soft tells in this game. I expect him to go for a lot of soft tells pretty early, aggressive, especially since he will only respect you to punish soft tells until you've done it once. So I will expect JYATY to go for seduce quickly, go for fingerprints quickly, but you never know. Especially if Motionblur can catch him once on it, he might just drastically change his playstyle.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. As soon as you prove that you can do it, adjustments I do think have to come through. Otherwise, you'd consider the definition of insanity as attempting the same thing twice, expecting different results. Let's load into this game. Back over to Ballroom as per the group stage map pool. And let's see how this one does play out. Hopefully that flag is correct. Well, they're the maps. Ballroom, Courtyard, Library, and Crowded Pub being, a 16-guest pub with 4 out of 7 being your mission completion. Is that the Singaporean flag? It is. Perfect. We succeeded. Let's get this underway. JY competing first as Spy on the Ballroom as Walt Disney, as I call him in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Here we go, getting this early flirt. White tests it. I think we probably bail pretty soon and go back into this conversation if I know JY at all, but let's see how he wants to play this.
If you know JY at all, that's the question. Currently just standing in this conversation, but there's the bail. Oh, we're looking over towards the briefcase. Definitely going to be looking for that fingerprint, like you mentioned. Going to be challenging, I suppose. Motionblur to track this well and shoot for it. Oh, we just pop it down immediately. Well, it makes sense. The ambassador is at the green bookshelf, so you wouldn't be retaining that either way.
Yep, this is a great opportunity too. We can go pick up a green book, and then we could even do microfilm after that. Looks like we're gonna have to hit a difficult now, though. Oh, that was very close. Yeah, we do have to hit a difficult test there. We almost beat White to the full print. But we'll see what JY wants to do. I think he'll probably still go for fingerprint, but he's pretty ahead right now. Does not look like he wants to try for microfilm. Oh, looks like Amp is taking a drink. This is a great time. We'll probably take this drink, go flirt, and we'll have 2 missions done with 2 minutes left to go. Look, only need 1 mission because we'll have BB on the table still.
Yeah, no, that's true. Finger pronto is the term JCAT kind of coined in my head for rushing fingerprints, such as JY kind of did this game. At least the attempt rush on the double fingerprint, the one from the briefcase and the green bookshelf. But it is our first mission completed here on the Ballroom. Seduction target flirted all the way up to 85%. We could just step into the statues here and go for the flirt, and we do. Slightly slow on the sip there. AI is always insta-sip when they step to a statue. Motionblur hasn't taken the shot yet, so indicates to me that it's not something they're looking for.
Looks good so far. Inspect and BB might be reason to shoot, and I don't think we want to bug while we're highlight, so let's see what JY wants to do. He needs one mission.
Double agent is outside of conversation. Is going to be Kane, the one we're looking for. As you can see, Wheels there, who moves out of his conversation, the suspected double agent, making things difficult. JY is going to step into the conversation with Kane. Oh, we're going to delay the contact just a little bit. Probably wise. It would have been, at that time, the only person who could have done a real contact would have been JY. But oh no, 50 seconds left and the double agent bails on us.
Maybe Purloin is the backup
Wow.
plan. It looks like it is. We're not going to wait. But we do hit the green, so that's a huge boon. Looks like we'll be able to get away with this, especially since this is taking a long time. It's going to be a really tough shot for Motionblur to take here on JY.
Yeah, absolutely. Kane steps back into the conversation. We've got a couple of rejects going on. Sniper Cam following the Ambassador, but also looking over towards Irish and JY as well. Here comes the Purloin. Green fade. It's noticed by Motionblur, but who was the person who rejected? Oh no. Thinks it's a white Purloin. Feels behind. Takes the shot. Good time to shoot. Wrong person. That's going to be JY going up first in the Spy.
Yep, came down to a tough situation there where he couldn't really BB, but chose to Purloin. Hitting the green test is a huge, huge thing that saved him there. If he whites there, I guess he dies. But taking the risk there pays off for him.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I think the rush on the fingerprint's very good. It's a good way of kind of judging your opponent as well. I definitely respect that idea of, in your first game, just going for it and seeing what happens. You have 4 opportunities as Spy to find wins, and I think that with the current map pool, library's the map that you kind of have as a Spy that you really think you can make your mark on. At least that's the map that I feel like. If Ballroom and Courtyard don't go my way, then I've always got library to bring it back on. For Motionblur here, time to step into the Spy role. I love this, starting things off as small men as well. Really looking to try and challenge the old guard of player here. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mean, as small man, you can get away with murder on this map. I like, personally, to hide behind pillars on this map. There's so many things you can exploit. And as long as you can stay hidden and unsuspected, sometimes you can just get away with things off screen that are just absurd.
See how Motionblur wants to play it. We're AI controlling for the first 30 seconds of the game, and the AI is going to take us to the green bookshelf. I wonder if that's how some players decide what they're going to do. Oh, wow, okay. We're just going to walk away from the green bookshelf. Don't want to be here. Here's our flirt, 34%. For anyone wondering, the AI will not do that. Step away from the green bookshelf like that. Maybe the only time that would happen, it's super rare, is if a green swap was pending and they were the one called to go to the statue. But even then, I think it's super unlikely. We'll go for the Purloin. Really hard to Purloin as small men on Ballroom, and the shot does come through. When you look at that from the sniper cam, you can kind of see why Purloin's very difficult. Toby kneels down on one knee, and you can see the guest list the entire time. And it's almost like an invitation to watch the fade from the sniper, and that's exactly what JY does. Takes the shot really convincingly.
Absolutely. Looks like even though he white tested there and lost, with a green, probably could have turned out like JY's game. It just depends how on top of he was on it. Smallman does have the very distinctive Purloin, which makes him, thankfully, not too overpowered, especially since his Purloin is pretty bad. But looking like we took a pretty big risk there, did not pay off for us. Now we're going to have to come back on Courtyard.
Absolutely will. It is going to be JY stepping into Alice here for their Courtyard game. Motionblur going to have to keep their wits about them. Don't want to allow that first Ballroom to affect your mentality, especially when you're playing against someone who has the competitive experience as JY does. Let's get this one underway. Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Let's see how JY wants to approach this game. Fingerprints were clearly the name of the game. The previous map, maybe things a little bit different here in Courtyard.
Yeah. Stick with the same game plan. Go for flirts quickly. Go for prints quickly. I think it's a pretty wise decision. I've seen a little change in the meta since the past 2 months I've gone. People like to print a lot more. So I think It's a great option though, especially since if you miss one print, it's basically over. You need to
Uh,
catch like almost two hardtails for one mission for you to even have a chance of catching it.
I know certain players consider fingerprint to be a hardtail due to the fact that you do have to kind of interact with the ambassador twice. For those wondering how you get fingerprints, you essentially interact with an object that the ambassador has recently touched. As you can see, JY here going to pick up the briefcase that the ambassador has just put down and return it like any good civilian would. And that's one fingerprint achieved. But on Courtyard, you can get fingerprints from the statues, you can get them from the drink, and the briefcase, of course, anything that the ambassador touches.
Yep, we do spend a lot of time holding it. Maybe we could have considered just setting it down and trying to get away with it sneakily. We were probably credited with the print since we did carry it around for about 20 seconds there.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting, I guess, discussion. Do you hold on to the briefcase for a long time and do a really nice return, or do you just pick it up and put it down and hope the sniper never sees you holding it? Sometimes I feel like I prefer the latter half of the choices. We stepped into conversation to do a seduce, but I do think we missed it. The seduction target walked away, so we're just sitting on this 51%. But here comes JY picking up a statue. Was the ambassador just here? Yeah, he was. So this is fingerprintable.
Yeah. So yeah, this was clearly planned. JY is just waiting for the opportunity there. Great situational awareness, noticing that the Amba was at a statue, getting 2 missions done here. Let's see how much stock Motionblur puts on this fingerprintable statue. This will be a huge test to see when the BB comes up. JY is also going to have to rush these soft tells because he has to hit a green here, and he's going to have to rush this BB too. Only 30 seconds left.
Hit the green. Nice stuff. That's what we need. Motionblur feels like he's creeping over towards the shot, and he is. Wow. Very confident on the idea of the shot there. No contact had happened yet, so a lot of people will wait for the contact, but maybe we expected or suspected a possible bug at some point. Maybe we just didn't want to muck around here.
Right, and also maybe trying to instill fear. JY rushed Prince on him last game and won. Maybe he's trying to send a message. I think that just holding the briefcase around made it clear that, hey, I'm Alice, I have a print. And then quickly rushing the fingerprintable statue just kind of shone a light on him. And then the quick talk as he entered conversation, Motionblur decides to punish it. I think this could be a good strategy. Maybe try to sway JYATY from not doing any more soft tells in their future games.
Yeah, no, for sure. If that shot was any indication, Motionblur's recognized the threat of the fingerprint on Ballroom and has said, no more. Do not do this against me again. We've got one more round of Courtyard here as Motionblur spying as Wills. Then we go over to Library, a map that's a little bit harder to track print on. And then if you've potentially forgotten because of whatever's happened on Library, Pub's a very, very much a map where print becomes pretty heavily considered in the meta. However, we'll talk more about it as it comes. Let's see what Motionblur has up his sleeve as Wills on Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
One thing to mention is that JY has, I would say, very distinctive sniper play too. That he will make very aggressive highlights and lowlights, just depending on reads he has. Like maybe something right now thinking that he bugged, but he'll make very aggressive decisions, try to instill some fear.
Yeah, I don't know if that was for the potential of a bug or if it was for leaving the conversation so quickly after we joined it due to AI control. Technically an etiquette hardtail. Not entirely sure how much JY attributes to things like that. Gonna one cycle the statue here, get our inspect halfway done. We will have to revisit statues if we do want to get it fully done. Flirt onto our seduction target bling twin here, a white test for 34%. Depending on how much that highlight means to JY, it's going to be a very difficult game for Motionblur to come back from.
Right, and I think when you go to statues early, you're kind of setting yourself up to swap or fingerprint. I think swap, especially on this map, can be very strong if you green it. Ooh, we go for the bug there. Noticed?
I'm not entirely sure. It looks like it may have been. The sniper seems to be rotating around. Yep, shot does come through. That's going to be Wills. Dead in his chair, and as you can see, very difficult to bug as Wills, but if we actually just look at it from JY's perspective as well, yeah, you can 100% see that arm reach out towards the ambassador as you round the corner. pop it in slow motion and zoom in on it just to really emphasize the point. 100% seen from JY there, and very happy to take that shot.
Yeah, looking at the start of this game, this highlight seems to look like that it could have just been him suspecting the bug. His arm does come right by the ambassador, so it's definitely a possibility that JY just missed a time of chaos bug and gets a highlight for that. Pretty unfortunate there for Motionblur. Not much you can really do there besides choosing to idle there in that conversation instead of leaving immediately.
Yeah, I also wonder how much this awkward pathing as he bounces off multiple AI is considered by JY. I think that Wills can be a bit of a double-edged sword, that sometimes you get away with pathing mistakes because of the way his model kind of moves around the map, but also certain pathing mistakes are just emphasized due to the way his pathing model also paths around the map. So yeah, sometimes a blessing, sometimes a curse. Here for Motionblur, though, is going to lose that game, and that puts JY 3-1 up in this set. Now over towards the library, where he will be spying as the general for this game of library. And I think library, a map where a lot of experienced players, snipers, and spies tend to find their wins and really kind of nail coffins against their newer competitors. We'll have to see if JY can follow that trend in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yep, this is going to be all about how if Motionblur just gets overwhelmed by the party, especially since the meta currently right now is to highlight for any inspect, and sometimes just fill up your brain and there's all these highlights all over the map doing suspicious stuff that be really difficult to get used to if you don't have much experience.
So we're looking for a flirt here. It's a little bit late, 30 seconds into the game, but it's a white test, so that makes up for it. Only need another one of those. Sorry, green test. Only need one of those again from close range, and flirt could be done in 2 action tests. So far, it looks like we're getting highlights out of Motionblur for statue visitors here. And like you mentioned, depending on how busy the party is, those highlights can definitely stack up.
Looks like he's going for a print again. The rush, no respect, no fear after what happened last game. Looks like we're going for it. Maybe trusting more that, hey, library is a map where I'm not going to get punished for prints as often as I would on a map like Ballroom or Courtyard.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair analysis, is that there's so much more to look at for library. You only have 1/3 of the map on your camera at any given time, and sometimes it can feel like less than that. And so fingerprints tend to just disappear into the ether, and especially when you pick an ambassador like Taft, as JY seems to do a lot. That ambassador moves around the map very swiftly, kind of picks up and puts his grubby little prints on everything. So JY gonna pick up a second print at this blue book, and already we've completed Seduce and Fingerprint, 2 Softail missions rushed in under 2 minutes.
I would have maybe liked to see some microphone completion here, especially since now we've been to both bookshelves. We might just get credited for microphone here without actually not having made any progress on it at all. No highlight coming out though, so maybe we got away with it clean. Maybe would have liked to see some microphone action there along with the fingerprints.
Can definitely help. One good thing about getting both Fingerprint and Seduce done is that you only need a contact, inspect, and then 1 hardtail done. So the microfilm could be that 1 hardtail, but if you're picking up inspects, you can also swap at the end of your inspect cycle, and a large character model like General here would allow for a pretty hidden swap on library due to the angles that the sniper has to deal with. Calling Waiter over. Oh wow, green purloin from the window pad. I think the reject potentially not seen. Toby kind of just seen pathing away from the general here. This could be really devastating for Motionblur.
Banana bread.
Real contact. Stepping away from the conversation immediately over towards the yellow bookshelf. 3rd time at bookshelves, but straight afterwards. And the guest list has just been purloined as well. And Motionblur hasn't seen any of it at all. Just goes for the shot onto Rocker, feeling very far behind. Wow. I don't even think he saw the guest list was gone.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Doesn't look like he even really swings around to check it. I'm kind of amazed actually that he doesn't check it. I think he probably was very tunneling a lot on Rocker then, because I don't think he even notices it. Yeah, he doesn't even swing around. It's crazy. Good play by JY. Once again, the green purloin paying off for him. If either of those were white, maybe you see two spy shots there. So tough to say. Purloin is definitely, I'd say, the one of the biggest risk rewards in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's see. Rocker starts the game off at middle statues very early on, but not early enough that you would suspect a swap, I don't think. She does also go to blue bookshelf. There's a kind of animation hitch right now in Rocker's reading animation, which you see it as you glance over. It can sometimes look like a microfilm animation. Then she heads straight back over to the blue bookshelf, which is strange. Maybe one moment where you could expect a bug happened. Other than that, I think this shot is purely a case of tunneling on one character in the party, and then I mean, there's a common philosophy that if you are tunneling this hard onto one character, then you might as well shoot them after a contact or whatever, because your chances are you're not going to come back from the tunnel. In that case, for Motionblur, that's true. Now, though, has a chance to potentially pick up Spywin and bring this series back into contention. At 4-1, JYATY or JY only needs one more point to take the series. Playing Buns here as Motionblur. Let's see what he can do on Library in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Gonna have to come up big. On Library, the key thing as Spy is to get away with your missions off screen. So I really like prints and microfilm on this map, especially since there is so many times when you can get away with one part of it off screen. And if they miss if they miss one of those halves, then you get away with that mission pretty clean.
Oh dear. I'm not enjoying the. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Okay. Well, we have time to replay this game. One thing I want to bring up before we talk about that wrong shot from JY is Motionblur has been sitting on AI control a lot. Look at this. AI control, and the camera starts moving, and that's Motionblur moving the camera. So that means Motionblur is actively AI controlling. He looks over towards his seduction target, and then doesn't take over AI control to walk into the conversation and flirt. Only does it later. As it turns out, because DeVito here, or Smallman, had been in the conversation by himself for too long, he leaves. So that was a missed opportunity for the flirt. Luckily for us, those things don't seem to matter, because Salmon Danger here steps into the side statue, which I know JY potentially didn't get a good view of it. I'm not entirely sure why this shot comes through. Do we get a Simba look at the statue? We do, yep. And the shot comes through. So clearly JY mismemorizing the statue, and as Salmon Danger holds it above his head, he sees the falcon's head and goes, hey, that's not what I thought it was. Goes for the instant shot.
Yeah, very interesting decision by Motionblur to, like, even though he takes control late, does a U-turn, and then purposely chose to go flirt at the opposite side of the conversation. Maybe some fear instilled by JY for catching flirts. I know he can be behavioral at times, so maybe Motionblur trying to play to his opponent.
Yeah, no, that's very possible, depending on what kind of research you've done and what you feel like is the way your opponent kind of gets wins. I'm kind of surprised by this misremember of the statue, because there was a lot of chances for JY to correctly identify that statue. Nonetheless, go on.
Go ahead.
I
was just gonna say, it clearly looks like a 3, but maybe he thought the order was switched or something like that. But unfortunate there. Hallucinations will happen, but might as well hallucinate while you're up 4-1.
Yeah, no, that's very true. At 4-2, you're still in a very good position to take this series home. Now stepping onto Pub, a map where we'll have to see if JY can continue this spy dominance that he's shown throughout all of the games so far. As Irish in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Clearly, Fingerprint's been a main focal point so far of this series here, Yesha. You would anticipate that it could be something that we see again from JY.
Possibly here. I just know he likes to do missions fast.
My. That is a fast swap.
Yeah, going for it.
I mean, you misshot a civilian for phantoming a swap. Maybe that influences your decision to swap the statue. Oh god, okay, never mind.
Playing a little bit on tilt. Possibly a little bit tilted from that. That's a huge problem there. He's been having really good success with Fingerprint, so I don't know why you wouldn't keep on going with that. Besides the courtyard game, he's been very successful.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I think that it's either a case of tilt, maybe it's a case of getting one back over the AIs who tricked you in the previous game.
Right.
Either way, you're not playing the AI, you're playing your opponent here, and your opponent is now one point away from tying this series against you in a group where taking a loss against an opponent definitely doesn't help. There's a lot of people in contention in Group D. I have to see what Motionblur can do here. He's been given a really simple way to get back into this series and tie it up one apiece with a spy win. It's very simple. All you have to do is win a spy here, Yeesh, as Alice. Let's see if Motionblur can do it. That's it. It's simple. It's like all you have to do is win. Easy. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, playing it. Oh,
So
very
far,
quick
the spy play's
takeover.
been looking kind of rough, so I don't know. It might be tough for Motionblur to come back. Maybe he's feeling a little bit
Oh
confident after
my.
catching that. Goes for the bug? Not noticed?
I
Wow.
don't. I mean, I would switch over to the sniper cam as it happens, and JY was zoomed directly on it.
Yeah, I was a little bit in disbelief because that wasn't caught, but maybe looking for something else.
That's potential. Yeah, maybe you just note it. I think Alice bugged there. Let's wait for some more mission progress. After misshooting for a phantom swap, it's definitely wise from JY not to take an instant shot in the sniper game afterwards. If he did see the bug.
I do like this decision though to grab the drink here. There's about 4 or 5 people at the bar. Alice is quick, can make it to a conversation quickly, so can match up with delegate timing from the other guests. So I think if we want to delegate, we have a really great opportunity. You might just want to play it slow, contact, seduce, go for the draw, especially since I don't think we felt the highlight as Motionblur.
Watching for bugs onto Taft here from Kane and Red Dress. If we're paying that much attention to those characters, then maybe Motionblur did get away with the bug free. There's the contact onto the double agent, relatively good. A couple of lowlights given over. Unfortunately, one of them being a statue lowlight as well. We are going to leave the conversation, running out on time for this delegate potentially.
Ooh, not ideal. I don't think I like this play too much. I would rather just inspect and seduce to go for the win. Now we get highlight. It's gonna be really tough. I like the BB. It wasn't great, but we had a free bug, so we weren't really in a huge rush to get missions done.
Yeah, and look at this. Highlights being downgraded to neutral due to inactivity in that file conversation. Right now, Motionblur quite possibly number 1 on the suspect list here for JY. And we're only just starting flirt here at the 1 minute 29 mark. It's very late into the game. Let's step over towards the statue. Although already being credited with a fingerprint, this could be reason to shoot, especially if you did suspect the bug early.
This is looking rough. I think JY will probably shoot for flirt here. I don't think he shoots here. My guess is that Motionblur will come back, quickly talk, leave, and then at the second talk, Motionblur will die, is my guess. It's going to be really tough to cheese flirt against a highlight with 45 seconds left.
The safety's come off. J1 wants to shoot, but he's waiting for a talk animation. I think as soon as Motionblur starts the flirt, this is GG's, and the shot comes through. Maybe Motionblur will be scared into timing out due to the fact that the laser switched over to us. There it is. Started up. There's no reason not to shoot at this time to the game, and JY takes it. Very correct, very confident, and will take the series 5-3 in the end over Motionblur.
Ended up being close, but honestly, I think that was not the most optimal spy play. It came down to a lot of purloins. A lot of purloins failed. I think there were about 4 purloins, 2 greens, 2 whites. 2 times the spy died, 2 times the spy won, and both times JY got away with the greens, which really paid off for him.
Yeah, and I think for Motionblur, like you mentioned, you already got the bug done. When I played against Crazy Kaylee and tried to learn about how to spy against one of the better players in this game, one of his philosophies that kind of he taught me was that once you get your hard tail done, rush your soft tails and just get the game out. Seduce, inspect, especially on these 4 out of whatever maps. And I think for Motionblur, that's probably where the game came undone, was going for the fingerprintable briefcase, which was, as it turned out, a difficult fingerprint. We failed the test, and JY was very happy to just to highlight for that. Really put Alice on the map for JY. Looking at this bug though, holy moly! I mean, it was 100% on sniper cam. JY zoomed in on it. Very possible that
Absolutely.
JY saw the bug and was just holding off on the shot as well. That's it though. JY takes the first game of their group stages 5-3 over Motionblur. We'll be playing against myself next week or tomorrow.
That puts them at 2-0 even so far, or maybe 1-1. I'm not entirely sure about JY's score, but nonetheless, you and him are definitely in the top 2 for running in that division.
Well, these are all week 1 games. These are
week 1. These are not week 2.
No, these are not week 2. Everything is week 1. We'll have week 2 games next week. So at this point, JY is 100% 1-0 up in the group, and in real time as well, also 1-0 up. He will be playing his week 2 matchup against me tomorrow, which we'll look to try and get broadcasted next week when I'm out of the country. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. I know I am.
Absolutely.
Either way, here we go. Moving into our third matchup for tonight, Yeesh, it is going to be Frosty versus Watermeat.